Good to know that.
It's like I'm going to change my name.
Oh, my
Okay,
camera.
everybody,
I'm
go
gonna
ahead.
change it. Yeah. Oh, got it. Okay. Yeah.
Hopefully that's all cool with everyone. These will. I'm sorry. That's so funny, Laura. That's so funny. Okay. Um, so Luma, how was your time at the event?
So I wasn't able to watch Ron Gibson live. So I watched the replay, which was really great to have that because I watched it later when I had time. But the Sunday I was involved with that, and I'm so moved by the connection because the Russians have a spirit and a beauty and such intelligence that and information and caring that it's just like bringing our global presence together. And they were sharing a lot of things about what they learned and helping others, coming up the path to learn from their mistakes and not have to do it the hard way. And there was one guy who showed his Kins domain like a FaceTime. He was walking through with his camera and walking us through his entire acreage, and his little girl came up, and it was so sweet to get that experience live, of this person walking their land and seeing the fruit trees and the children, and the sun was going down because it was a different time there. So it was very touching and very I want to be a part of all of those. It really inspires me.
Yeah. Who was your favorite, if you can pick one, which one stuck out to you the most, out of the Russian speakers?
Well, Svetlana is always, she's
Yeah.
prime. She's amazing. She's so intelligent and sweet, and her stories are really important. And the guy who, I don't remember his name, he was the one that took us on tour of his land, and the little girl, his little baby girl, I don't remember what his name was. And I think there was someone named Galina.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
was amazing. She shared a lot.
Yeah.
Dude, is
Yeah,
that her?
her name was Galina, and she was the one who could speak English.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and she shared a lot about like the practical, she's like, you think things are gonna disappear when you go into your domain, and they're not. They're not. If you don't face them, they're gonna be there. It was very refreshing to hear yeah, like, hey, kind of the truth about it all, kind of grounded it.
Yeah, the practicality of
Yeah, yeah,
how to step into something and not be, off in the clouds too much.
yeah.
Cool.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Luma. I just want to take a second and welcome everyone. We have 30 people here, and I can't remember the last time on a community call that I was a part of when we had that many people. So first, I want to say welcome to all of you individually. There's a lot of different faces that I have seen here, and a lot of faces I haven't seen. And so I want to thank you for your journey. Thank you for whatever brought you here. These calls initially, when I was first joining this movement, absolutely did wonders for my stamina with my inspiration in my aspirations, in keeping my thoughts centered and focused on really bright things. So I hope that you find that here. And I think it would be really nice to begin with just a general popcorn. If anybody feels like they want to check in or share anything or tell us a story about something real fast, introduce yourself if you're new. Some people aren't comfortable with this, but we generally do. I'm going to go ahead and do it myself. We put our location in our name, so you just have to right click on yourself and put your location. And it's really cool because then, like, you might be next to someone in the video and you're like, whoa, like they're from the same country or even same state. And I've made a lot of connections like that, so I encourage you to do that. Yeah, Laura Lee, go for it.
So I just had a question. I've been wondering about this for quite some time. There was something that I read on one of the websites that made me wonder if in Russia, can people apply to the government and get land given to them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so there's certain I don't know if it's called provinces, regions that allow that. So I know one region is like the Belgorod region, and that's where Vika and Anton live, and they've worked extensively. They're in partnership with the government. So it's kind of polar opposite from what we're like here in the sovereignty movement, feeling like we need to really almost isolate ourselves. They're actually working with the government, and the government is doing it because the government sees the rationale behind it. They see like, well, hey, if we have people living in domains, first of all, the GDP of our region is going to go up. The health of our people in this region is going to go up. We're going to have more things to trade. So I think they're just seeing the rationale, and I don't think all regions are that way yet.
Yeah. Okay, that was good. I'm glad I asked that question. And then the other thing I just want to say, like I'm in Alberta and I'm very keen on this, and I have some money to help people invest, buy land. So I want to put that out there because I would help people get started.
That's a really generous offer. Seriously, that's like,
Yeah.
wow. That's really generous of you. I really highly encourage. What's the best way for people to get in contact with you? And then I'm going to write that down as well so
Okay,
that,
I'll put my email in here, in the chat. And yeah, now what I would hope, okay, so there's a little, I would hope that they would consider doing this near me because I really want to have an involvement with it. So it would be, so I'm living in a small town and, I would hope that we could do something near that town because I want to have some involvement.
wow, Lorely, that's a really gracious offer. Thank you for that. I really hope we have a Canadian. Are you a part of the Canadian Telegram or you don't do Telegram?
Well, I don't, people have tried to do it and I've got a weird phone. So anyway, I have not been able to negotiate Telegram. I've tried it a number of times and I haven't been able to negotiate. So the best way to get in touch with me is by email.
Cool. No, that's cool. So there's a very active Canadian Ringing Cedars group. And then there's also Ariane, who is based in Vancouver, but she has connections all throughout Canada. So I'm gonna pass that along and also pass your message along. And if you have my email, if you have something like that you would like to write, that you would like to kind of write about, like, hey,
Anastasia meetup.
I'm I'm offering this, and blah blah blah. I'd love to pass that along to Ariane and things like that. That's a really
Okay, well, I think I still have Ariane's email.
Perfect. Yeah. She's the woman to reach out to if you're looking to do stuff in Canada. She's definitely the ambassador out there. Cool. Wow, my heart. That's really sweet. I want to honor here Maggie. Maggie has her hand up.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm not going to go on video because I'm in an odd place
No
on my
worries.
phone. So, I I'm sort of new to this group, but I've been very much studying the Anastasia material since probably 2006 or so, when I first encountered the books. I'm in Massachusetts, and there's very few people sort of thinking like this on the East Coast. And I've been wanting to kind of create like a little study group here locally to try to bring some interest. And wondering, one, if you guys know of people over on this area, if you have any kind of a list. The other thing is I have this house. I'm on a small piece of land. It's not really big enough to do anything, but the house, I'm basically working on converting it to like a nonprofit. I have 7 or 8 bedrooms in it. Right now I rent to international students, and that's how I stay afloat. But we're in a pretty incredible area where it's such that if there this is something I've been working and thinking about and sort of envisioning, is creating the same entity that the elite use to pool their resources for a mutual interest, that creating and the newer model of it, the benefit corporation, but creating a benefit corporations where people can pool resources to purchase land together and it all be co-owned through all of the stockholders, to me is a way of, because most of us who are excited about this don't have a chunk of money to put down. We've got something and we all need each other. And this is the biggest thing about all of these things, is that we have to have an economic vehicle through which we can come together. And in the current economy, the only real way that that can be done is through an entity that pools resources by design. and you know, I believe that we're moving towards a time when all of that stuff is going to break down. But in the meantime, acquiring the land and being able to pool the resources to acquire large enough tracts of land with many, many people co-owning it, it's a way to do it until things kind of collapse in that realm. And I just want to put out there that that's something I'm kind of researching and working on. And if there's anybody interested in gathering, because I mean, once you have a group of people that are, it becomes like an investment vehicle in a way that then, and when the corporate entity builds enough credit, then it's possible to finance property anywhere in the country, and that it can build, and there can be many places where land is purchased, and anyone can be involved just simply by, you know, contributing whatever they want to sort of buy stock, so to speak, in this group. And that then there becomes a way of pooling resources where nobody's sort of fighting over whose is whose and all that stuff. It becomes an organized way of promoting a mutual interest where everybody's a little guy and there's no big guy who kind of is on top. So
I think that's a really, really nice topic that could be covered. Is that something that everybody would like to talk about? I think I want to allow some more introductions, Maggie, if that's okay. But is that a topic that everybody feels like excited, like more like looking at the law and the structures that can be leveraged for these things? Is that something that's on a lot of people's mind? Because I can share what I'm doing and what the ideas that the sovereign people that we've been working with at the Anastasia Foundation have ideas about. So if that's something that people are interested in, I'd love to share that when we kind of get into a little bit more later in the meeting. Does that feel good? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, because it's exciting stuff, because the truth is that there is laws. There is laws that are in place, you know. Truth has been preserved to some degree. We just have to really find it deep down and be able to extract it.
Yeah, and I think when you get a group of people enough who are familiar with, you know, the kind of personal law, and the, you know, working with that, but then use the current economic structures to basically join forces, that then we have more power, basically.
Thank you for your share, Maggie. I do want to keep, Ernesta's had her hand up for a while.
Yeah, go ahead. I just sort of want to throw that out there.
Thank you.
And
Thank you. We'll definitely touch on that. I think that's a topic that's on a lot of people's mind, and there's definitely some stuff to share there. So thank you for bringing that valuable point up.
Thank you.
Yeah. Ernesta, have the floor. Welcome.
Hi. I'm new to this community and I live right now in Riverside, California. Originally, I am from Lithuania And I was born in Soviet Union, and when I was 10 years old, my country got independent from Soviet Union. So my second language is Russian. And I know a lot about life in Soviet Union. Yeah, and I read books, Anastasia, and I believe 2 more books I read few years ago. And I just don't know how I found this community probably 2 weeks ago. Yeah, and I'm really excited about the things that are happening on Earth. I also do channeling and I read energies. And energetically, I already feel that the word that we knew, it's gone. It's not here anymore. And we just have to wait a few months, maybe a few years to see this with our eyes. But I'm super excited about our future. And yeah, so we have 2.5 acres of land, and we have stream going through our property. We have garden, we have fruit trees, and unfortunately it's very challenging to grow vegetables and fruits here because it's very hot. Tomorrow it should be 107. And I don't know, just very different when in my country, we don't have rain for half a year, and it's very challenging for me. I don't have any neighbors who would grow vegetables, even though we have huge houses. Most of them don't even have solar panels. We do have solar panels. And yeah, so physically and emotionally, I am prepared to live off grid for a while. We have solar panels and water pumps and stream, and I collected a lot of seeds and bought seeds and collected seeds. And I don't know, we will see. I'm so glad to be here with you, to connect with you. And super excited what's next.
Wow. That's super beautiful, Ernesta. Wow. That's amazing. So you have your land, you have trees, you have a stream. Amazing.
Yeah, but it's very challenging because of like heat and no rain and also birds. And also it's very different when in my country. So I'm going to local farm and talking with local farmers and getting some seeds from them. Because to do gardening, it's very challenging here and it takes a lot of work. My father used to live with us and he used to help me and my husband, but he passed away a year ago, and now just me and my husband, and we just trying to do everything on our own.
Yeah. You know, Ernesta, I one of my permaculture teachers was in San Clemente, and he his name is Lucian Toma, and he specialized in dryland farming. So he specialized in being able to garden in the dryland desert. And yeah, there's, if you look that up, dryland farming, I think you'll find a lot of different resources. It involves a lot of heavy mulch and in digging different furrows and trenches. You know, like I'm in the Midwest, if I dug a trench, it would fill with water too much and my plants would drown. But where you're at, because you don't get enough rain, that would be a very good thing. There's a couple of other principles, you know, involving like having canopies and different things and creating rain. But if you look dryland farming up, hopefully maybe you can find some tips.
Thank you. I wrote this down. I will definitely check it out. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. No problem. Cool. Okay, well, does anyone else have any like wanna check in or share? And if not, that's totally cool. We'll jump in. It's about 30 minutes into the meeting, so we can totally get into yeah, get into some stuff. Does that feel good? Okay. Well, first I wanted to share, Ariane used to do this, but I feel like this is a very I really enjoy starting with a quote from the book because to me it really kind of grounds us all, especially this last quote. I just got back from the Ozarks, which is a very pristine place in Missouri. It's actually the oldest mountain range in the world, and it's the most biodiverse place in North America, believe it or not. And we have the most springs, the highest concentration of springs in North America. So it's a very special place. When I go down there and I come back, I'm always like, wow. But I was reading book 8.1 down there, The New Civilization, and the quote on the second to last page really always gets me when I read it. So it says page 237, and this is going to be different if you have another version of the book, but I'll put that in the chat as well. So here's the quote. Anastasia says, God has shone forth in the universe with a new thought. It is not only a great energy, but a judge as well. Much has been said in treaties and legends about God's judgment. It is now coming softly and invisibly, God's judgment. It touches all the people now living on the planet, and every man will be his own judge. Whoever chooses life and creates living life will be eternal and resemble the grand creator of the universe. Whoever visualizes death in his imagination is doomed to death by his own thought. And every time I read that, I get very excited. So I wanted to share that because I feel like the conscious awareness of eternity and of the grandness of our actions, of our meeting here, is we really should consider that when we're all using our thought, our grand superpower. So yeah, hopefully I'll put that quote also in the chat, or I'll put the thing 8.1 to 37. So yeah, if it feels good, I'd like to share just like for 2 minutes real fast what my latest observations. So I went down to a homesteading expo, and there I saw a lot of people that were interested in this way of life, people that were religious, people that were, looking to be off grid and to do all this. I mean, there was solar demonstrations, there was wild foraging, there was all sorts of different things, composting, for people who are eating animal products, there was all sorts of different things about raising livestock in natural, holistic ways, gardening, all of that. But one thing that really stuck out to me was that, the emphasis was a lot on what's to be done on a homestead, and not the intention behind the creation of the homestead. And I think that that's really important, and what sets us apart. I'm beginning to talk with some other organizations right now. One of the organizations is called Boost the World, and they have a vision and a mission to create 1,111 eco villages all around the world. But something that's different is that the intention behind the creation is never talked about. And it almost seems like irrational, right? Like when you step back and you think about it, you're like, well, why wouldn't you have an intention behind your creation? But much of our lives are programmed that way. We're all kind of running on autopilot. We're not asking the questions. So I just wanted to bring that up because I wanted to honor each of you here now on this video for being interested in intention. Because as God created the universe, he had a thought first, he had a conception first, and then it materialized. So within each of all of us, as we hold the dream within us, like it literally continues to come about. And we don't have to be, reading books after books after book after book because we don't know how to garden and we don't know how to do certain things. Really, the most powerful thing we can do is hold the image of our domain and see ourselves practically, day in and day out. Like, what does the grass feel like? What does the sound of your children behind you sound like, or your grandchildren? Or maybe what does it feel like waking up as a young child, in another life? That was the theme that Mark and Gabriel were speaking about today in the Telegram chat, waking up in this new life. So I just wanted to share that as a sort of a preface to talking about law and things like that, because it can get very easy to get kind of trapped in this nitty gritty. And the most important thing is seriously, like, just hold the image. Like, we all know what images do to water. I mean, Dr. Emoto, we all know what images do to food that we eat, you know, to people that we know. So I just wanted to share that, so that we can kind of all ground ourselves in that. It's important, because it's like, if you don't, then you start going on some thought train and you're like, oh, I just spent 10 hours of my life, you know, looking at a screen, researching this one thing, and did it even get me anywhere? I've spent many nights like that. So wanted to save us all from that, because we're, you know, we are really the pioneers here. We're really the foot soldiers, or the people at the front line. So I honor each and every one of you. But if we'd like to talk about law, I'm willing to, I'd love to share some of that stuff, but I also don't want to hold the floor here. So does anyone have any feedback, or not feedback, does anyone have anything they'd like to contribute on that thought, or introduce a new thought? It's a completely open floor. Yeah.
I just wanted to share something that sort of jumps onto that is in the sovereign law group that I took. The other thing that Greg Paul really focused on is for people to do their own emotional healing and to have a practice of emotional healing, because if you don't, then you end up projecting your unresolved stuff on other people. So that was one of the reasons why I took the course with Sovereign's Way, is because they didn't leave that really critical point out.
That's really sweet to say. Yeah, it's interesting that it's holistic like that. Thank you for sharing that. If you could share the link for that course, that would be really cool. There may be people interested in looking at that.
To be honest, I wouldn't recommend it.
Okay. Well then, no, that's cool.
Yeah, I really like that part of it, but they're very expensive. And I like Greg's approach, but I didn't like John's approach. So I wouldn't really recommend their group. I think there's probably something a little bit more reasonable and a little bit more temperate out there.
Cool. Okay. Well, thanks for the share anyway. Would you like to go? Yeah? Go ahead. I'm gonna say it wrong probably one more time. Hulda?
Second one. Yeah, Hulda.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Weekend before last, I was at a workshop called I Am the Living Law. And Ron Gibson started it off the first 2 hours. And then the rest of the weekend was headed up by Marcia Ann. She does what she calls a discourse. She says she doesn't teach, she does discourses. But one of which is called Wisdom's Calling, the Blessings of Liberty, spelled with an I at the end. That's Latin for freedmen. And the other one called the Mystery of Trusts. And for that workshop, I wrote a song called The Living Law, which I would love to share with you.
Yes, please.
Okay. I am the living law. 'Tis true, and so, my friend, are you. My creed is do no harm, give no cause for alarm, and be the living truth of the law of one. I come in peace. How may I be of service to thee? May we join in the spirit of love, spreading it far and wide. And so we turn the tide, the living law below, just as stars above. I am, you are, we are the living law.
Woo! That
Yeah,
was awesome. I got
amazing.
chills. That was so beautiful.
Yeah, I get chills from that and some of my other songs too. And I get choked up.
This I love my favorite line was the spirit of love. The spirit of love spreading it wide and far. Was that how it went? Yeah.
Far and wide to rhyme with whatever that other
Far and
line
wide.
was.
Yeah. Yeah. I am the living law. Wow. That is really beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm kind of like, when are you gonna like post that somewhere? I'd love to like hear it or be able to
Oh.
like play it whenever I wanted to.
Well, it's actually on my page at solari.com. I'll put it into the chat.
Yeah, please do.
And as far as people to study with, I would highly recommend Marcia Ann. You need to access her through a Canadian group called Sovereign by Design. And I'm putting that into the chat. And also put the names of her 2 courses. She really emphasizes substance over form. So not doing a bunch of paperwork and stuff. Maybe down the road there's paperwork, but it's an expression of like who you are and that who you are stuff.
Thank you, Hilda.
My pleasure.
That was beautiful. I'm still kind of so for anybody, that link that she sent is the place to go and check it out. And she has a lot of other songs. I'm scrolling and I'm continuing to scroll and continuing to scroll. I mean, there's a lot of songs on here. I definitely would check these out. Yeah.
It's over 100, but not, I've started doing single audios. Originally I was doing videos and then like video songbooks.
Your creativity is amazing. Thank you, Hulda. I mean, we need people like that. Like that's how God speaks through us is through creativity. So thank you.
Thank you.
Tutu.
Hi, I just wanted to say, Hulda, I believe I saw you on the PMA weekly call. Is that right?
Yes, I'm one of the co-hosts.
Yes. Oh my goodness, it's so fun to see you here. And I wanted to, I was hoping that we would talk about the PMA structure as well. And I'm sure you know a lot more about that than I do. So that's just so fun to see you here.
What Hulda, what organization or which PMA organization?
Well, Michael Betrano is the host of PMA Weekly. And I can put into the chat how to access that. It has recently become a PMA, Private Membership Association itself. And there's a number of tiers. The tier 1 is actually above the free access. So you can become a member and then you have access to the weekly webinars. If you want access to the recordings, and there's like a year's worth of recordings available, then you need to join tier 1, which gives you then access to both. And that's $120 US dollars per year donation, because it's a PMA, they're not selling anything. And then there's other tiers, and I can put information about that if people are interested.
Is there a web link to go to this site?
Yeah, when I finish talking, I can put that in.
Okay.
And Michael Betrano is also the creator of an event called Liberties with the I on the end of it, Horizon, which was in San Diego, April 30th and May 1st. Ron Gibson spoke there, Marsha Ann spoke there. There were about 20 speakers, and it was a pretty powerful event.
Wow. Yeah, I would definitely love to hear and see that.
And so I think tier one includes access to the recordings. The whole 2-day event was recorded, and so all of those speeches are available.
Wow. Wow. First a song and now you're linking us up with this. This is pretty amazing.
And then maybe later on, I'll if there's interest, I'll share my land trust song that Ron Gibson and Bear Lando of Alphabetic and Franco Collins were inspirations for. But maybe enough of me for now.
No, I mean, if you have something more, please. It's been amazing so far. Yeah, if you could put the link to that in the chat, I think a lot of people here would be really interested. I know I would, of, you know, maybe even checking that out and joining. But yeah, on that theme, I think the only thoughts I have to circle back around to what Maggie was suggesting earlier is, yeah, like I don't know if I would call it or if a benefit corporation is the way, and I think Hulda was maybe slightly alluding to that in a way, but just about PMAs and about different things, specifically the things that I'm interested in and that I've utilized and am using is private trust. So there's a number of different options for doing this in a way, you know. I have the belief that later on the government will be supporting this because they'll see the economic potential, and they'll see also that the fact that, you know, it's not going to start federally, it's going to start regionally, and it will happen here in the U.S. I really can see the strings already being pulled, but yeah, the difference between public and private law is the place to start, you know, and that the American Meeting Group is really good at giving the philosophy behind that. And I'm sure there's many other groups that are really good at the philosophy behind that. But that is a key critical distinction of knowing that, because if you do not know the difference between the public and private law, you're going to get yourself into contracts that you have no idea of. You know, contracts include everything, such as a driver's license, social security numbers, purchasing vehicles, homes, anything. And we need to be mindful of what we're doing. It's not to say that we need to abolish all those things. It just means that we need to know what we're signing, and we don't know what we're signing. There's organizations that the law and the IRS codes do respect. Those organizations are in the private, and it doesn't mean that you're not going to pay taxes. Specifically, you know, many people here are probably familiar with the 508c1a self-supported ministry. I don't know if anyone, you know, is maybe not. That's a structure a lot of people that was circulating a while ago, you know, as people using that, and many people thought, well, hey, we don't have to pay taxes on that. And really, they were using it as a loophole. So like true churches, yeah, they don't have to pay taxes. But our prime, I'm trying to say that our prime concern really shouldn't be taxes. You know, we need to be more focused on our rights, you know, and being able to do what we want on our land without having outside influence. The truth is we're using public money. So we're going to have to pay taxes unless we create our own currency. And I'm not doing that. And I'm not interested in some of the other currencies. You know, my greatest currency is love. That's just me. So we can utilize certain structures, in my opinion. And this is all just my opinion, of course. You know, there's PMAs, there is single member LLCs or manager managed LLCs. There is private trust. There's, you know, if you're looking into education, private education associations. If you're in healthcare, private health associations. So there's a lot of different things like that. And I'm happy to share what I'm doing personally, because I have a group of friends here in Missouri, and we have successfully created a private trust, and that's where we're building our settlement. LLC means Limited Liability Corporation. It is, I think, an American thing. Pretty sure.
Company, not corporation.
Yeah, pretty sure. I'm happy to share though my personal, like what I'm doing, and I have some other private businesses, but I don't want to just hog the floor here, so I want to come up for air and let some thoughts in, if anybody has some thoughts. Yeah, Paramatma, it's good to see you.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. Thanks. I haven't been on for a while.
I know.
But anyway, I was wondering if anybody has talked about Indigenous peoples and has brought into consciousness some of that, those situations. I've been reading the book Braiding Sweetgrass. Maybe
Yes.
Yes, and these people were these indigenous people were taken by gunpoint and relocated like 2 or 3 times, and so they talk about the bones of their ancestors. This was the big thing for them, that the bones of their ancestors were far away from them, and to me that just sounds like what we're trying to do, make these ancestral spaces that build up energy generation after generation. And I just, maybe it's something that I will do, or somebody else, just open up that conversation and open up that dialogue, to let them know what we're doing. I mean, in Russia, they don't have to deal with it. They are the indigenous people of that area.
Yeah.
And we're not. But I do want to read this this short thing. It's about 3 paragraphs. It's from the elder Hodinana. I won't say it right anyway, no matter what I say. Haudenosaunee elder, and he's from the Iroquois Nation. And this is what he says. When I was a small boy, I told my grandfather that we should send all the white people home because they didn't understand how to treat the land, and I was really angry. But my grandfather said, Henry, be patient. These people believe that they can make the land, and they can't. No matter how much they change the land, they cannot make it. But the land has the power to make the people. As they live on the land, more and more of them will be made by the land, and they will begin to think like us. Then we will not be able to tell. Then we will not be able to tell the real people from the foreigners. And this guy is saying, I'm so glad my grandfather was right. Indigenous people believe their responsibility is that responsibility is the best practice. To understand why food resources and the land are important to Indigenous peoples, we have to understand our responsibility to the land and to the Indigenous lifestyle. As the lifestyle of the Western society grows further and further away from the environment, the society does less and less to protect the land and its producers. Industrial practices become more and more demanding with less and less regard for the land and the life it sustains. The move away from the responsible practices on land is making it harder and harder to maintain the society as we want it. In desperation, we turn to rights and laws to protect us. But these laws are only made to protect the acceptable minimum. Aboriginal practices, our knowledge of the land may help the greater society understand its responsibilities to the land. The Aboriginal ways of looking at the land in this time of dramatic change may assist the Western society to understand some of the principles needed to protect Mother Earth. And this is written by Stephen Elliott Martin. He's got 2 books out called Sacred Gardening, and the other one is Story of the Madawaska Forest Garden. And the first one is very confrontational, and he's got a bit of an angry tone maybe to it, The Sacred Garden. I'm not sure. I haven't read it, but I've read about it. And then the second one is more powerful and gives a lot more answers, and talking about all of us coming together and in a new spirit. So anyway, I just think that that's something we need to bring into our consciousness, that there are people on this land in North America who already consider it their ancestral lands. And I think it'd be good for them to at least know at least know what we're doing and what we're thinking.
That's really, really powerful. Yeah, I was almost in tears at one point when the grandfather was talking. Yeah, it's really hard. That's really been on my mind a lot. My friend and I have been talking about this. This land is named America, and that name comes from a foreigner. What's the name of this land actually, is what I would like to know. I'd like to know, I'd like to see the life and the way of life. And we've come in and we've cut the forest down, and we've, put species into extinction. It's really hard. It's really, to read the history, like for example, in my state, this place was flourishing. There was black bears and elk and food everywhere. And now there's hardly any bears in the state. The original forests have all been cut down. There's no elk, there's no nothing. It's corn and soy, in some forest in the southern half. It's just really sad. And to answer your question, I think that there is some communication that's starting. I know Gabriel's friend. It's so interesting. So many things you said. I was just thinking about Stephen Martin because I actually was going to interview him for the Anastasia Foundation, and it just never panned through. So it's really interesting you brought him up today. I was thinking about him today. Gabriel has a friend who I keep forgetting his name right now, but Gabriel has a dear friend who is like a member of his own sovereign nation, and is Native American, First Nations people, and has this title to the land, and they're trying to work to further that. From my understanding, though, those Native people, there's certain ones of them that were granted titles from the crown and basically giving them the rights to the land, and a lot of them were not granted titles. So I know like the Aniawabi people, I believe they're up north, they have an original title, and I've been privileged to speak with some of the councils for them, some of the legal councils, and learn from them. But I think it will. I have faith. I mean, what does anyone else have any other thoughts about how we can integrate that? Because I think this is a really powerful topic, and it's really like how can we bridge the gap? How can we let these people know that we are here to make a change? Like we're not going to pawn our responsibility off anymore, as
I think that people can contact Kiss the Ground organization, Kiss the Ground. They did a feature film on Indigenous people called Gathering. And actually, the Indigenous people contacted them, and they kind of shifted their focus in their organization to incorporate more of an Indigenous orientation. So I think that That's one place that people can get information about that. And the other place is Shift Network has a whole section of their resources on Indigenous teachings and they have a whole library of Indigenous teachings.
I'm gonna put that in here.
It reminds me too about the Hopi prophecy, when the Hopis believe that false white man will come along and devastate the land, but then true white man will come and be part of the land.
Yeah. Yeah.
The thing about titles to land, if I'm correctly informed, goes back to feudalism, and where there's a king and there's lords, and like where there's a king, the king owns all the land as if anyone could own land actually, and then would grant use of the land to lords and stuff, and in exchange for them giving them their fealty. But in terms of the indigenous, say, of this continent, what my understanding is that they don't, I mean, ownership is like ridiculous. That's not on their radar. They see themselves as stewards. And that's actually what my song is about, if I may share that. It's called Of Ships, inspired by Ron Gibson, Bear Lando, and Franco Collins. Oh, the good ship, ownership, the very word is a trick. For what can we own other than our own heart, mind, and bone? The lion and the bear, the fish in the seas, birds in the air, do they claim as their own other than their fish scales or bones? Can possession ever be a right? Can we own what we don't bring to life? Or is it not true we only have right of use? Da-dum-dum-dum, join the good ship, stewardship, where together we all click, living in harmony as it's meant to be, meant to be. Da-dum-dum-dum-dum. Yeah.
Yay.
That is so
That was
sweet.
fun.
That's awesome. Wow.
And that's on my page that I gave the link to earlier.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, stewardship. Stewardship, sacred stewardship was a big theme of this webinar that we just had. If anyone watched that, it was a really big theme on the first day.
The one with Ron Gibson and Rod Williams.
Yeah. 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 My mind and heart is still trying to, I'm still thinking about how can we let them know, the best way is by action. But yeah, it does seem very imminent to begin connecting with the native people in some way. Yeah. Well, I encourage us all, if there's no ideas, to do that now, to let that idea sit in our mind and heart, and what if we're all thinking about it, some good solution will come up, because we really should, we really should. They really are the people who deserve to see their motherland flourish once again, and it's become our adopted motherland. My friend and I were talking about this, is it's like we can't abandon it, in some respect we're a foreigner, but in another respect, I was born on this land, and so that makes this land where I'm responsible for it. I can't void that responsibility. Um, yeah, yeah. Well, we'll make them proud. We'll make them proud. Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, what I was going to say was maybe we could make a group in the Anastasia Foundation called something like Sacred Stewardship or Sacred Indigenous or Indigenous whatever, and invite some Indigenous people to talk and be part of that, or to put things on that in that group.
That's a really good idea. I'm gonna make that. I'm actually gonna put that in my note here to speak to Gabriel about.
And perhaps find out whether there are already Indigenous people involved with the Anastasia Foundation.
I think from what I know, I think there's people that are I think there may be a couple that are full-blooded. And I think that there are some people who have that in them. I don't, there's obviously not a very large presence though. Definitely not.
And you know that Ron Gibson is Indigenous.
I did not know that.
I don't know from what nation, but I've heard him say that.
Latoya, the links have been sent out. So I attended a live webinar with Ron. I made the donation payment to receive the links and resources from this webinar. You did not receive the links. I mean, I got the email. I think Rob sent them through the American Meeting Group email on Monday. That's when I received the link.
The Monday after.
The Monday, yeah. So the event was Saturday and Sunday, and I received the links on Monday.
And Gabriel might have sent them out too.
I don't believe so. The event was done through the American Meeting Group
Okay.
systems. If you're having an issue with that, just contact the American Meeting Group, Latoya, and have with you like your receipt of payment, your PayPal. You should have gotten, like a confirmation that, hey, we received your donation. If you reach out, the American Meeting Group customer service is phenomenal. So if you reach out to them, they'll definitely take care of you. Cool. Okay.
Definitely think the Native Americans should have like first dibs on like land for Kins domain settlements. Yeah.
That's a brilliant idea, Shane. So I was just reading in the books how the deputy, so in Russia, a governor or someone or a politician is called the deputy of the people. And thank you, Susie, for coming. I really appreciate you being here. Bye. And basically this Vladimir was proposing how they could have a Kins domain or a Kins settlement, but there was a stipulation that like orphan children must be included and refugees must be included. Like a certain number of plots had to be allotted to orphan children and refugees. And this was like in their law. They had actually a law student from, I forgot what region, write this up. That's really powerful, Shane. I have not thought about that at all. And I'm locking that in my brain. That's a really important suggestion, that our settlements need to have basically like a not mandatory, but like a sampling of people, like it, yeah, I think that's really, especially Indigenous First Nations people, you can't force somebody to be on the land, but if you open up the opportunity and they can see what it's like, I am very sure that many will choose to live that.
And I've thought about immigrants and like, even I'm down for even illegal immigrants, honestly, because I just want people to be making these settlements. Some people might have a problem with that, but and another I'm just thinking like things that politicians could really get behind. Immigrants, and what else? People struggling in the city. I know politicians really care about, helping out people in the city. Well, you could really help them out by giving them their own piece of land. I'm just, yeah, so
Wow.
these are like groups that I think should be
Seriously,
definitely
Shane,
included.
that's a really phenomenal idea. Seriously. I'm like, my gears are all turning. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's how we bring this idea globally. That's how we bring this idea nationally to the US first. We've got to include everybody. Everybody deserves their own little slice of paradise, their own little piece of motherland. Very, very gripping idea, Shane. You've got me thinking about that. Yeah, Kevin was thinking the same thing. Yeah, and Parmatma says that. That's cool. When you said that the kids domain need to allow for Indigenous, I had a warm feeling go up my spine, chills. I as well. I was just like, yes, this is it. This is it. It's a great idea, Shane. Hmm. Well, we that was pretty cool, guys. We set that task to ourselves. It's amazing what community thought can do. Yeah. Yeah, so let's keep playing with that if that feels good. I mean, would a settlement then yeah, and let's include that. Let's include that. What about disabled and elders? Let's include that. So what is that? How do you guys feel that looks? Like, does it look as if there's a settlement in there, so the founders divide up the number of plots, and once they have the number of plots, it's based on percentages. So it's like, of course, the founders, are going to want to have family, and then there's other people besides the founders. But then is there percentages like, hey, you must have at least 30% Native Americans, people of the First Nations. And that's to say, if like you have absolutely no relation with the native people, you have to bring those people, including disabled people. Do you guys feel like, does this apply to when settlements are being like granted through the government? Does this apply like immediately? I think all these questions are one we should be asking ourselves. It's a
I think
really,
it's possible to contact the different groups and set the invitation, but I definitely don't think that sort of quotas should be, that's a nightmare.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah. So I think that it's certainly a warm welcome, and have different representatives from different groups present to a potential settlement and that sort of thing. I also just want to mention that the Intentional Community Organization, IC.org, really do a good job of facilitating workshops and so on to promote the idea of diversity. They have many good speakers. Laird, somebody rather, he's fantastic. So, and he can be hired as a facilitator. So when you're mixing different cultures and it's just really good to have a skilled facilitator initiate that process with you, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Anybody else? Paramatma says, I think those ideas will take form like this, but we need to start with inviting them, and perhaps some of them will take the lead on it. That's another powerful thought. Mr. Mark.
I have a really different take on this, and I hesitate to even say it. But this what makes me want to run for the hills, because my ideal is that the settlement I want to be on is one in which everyone has read the Ringing Cedars of Russia books, and they're in love with Anastasia and her wisdom and her purity and her model of what she is and how she lives, and and what she's brought to the world. And I would want to welcome everyone who feels the same way that I do, that they've read the books and they're basically, in love with her and everything that she's brought to us, meaning everything as much as possible. And that whoever that brings, Native American, disabled, urban refugees, whoever that is, if we all share that and her vision and her understanding and her knowledge, then I believe, personally, that it would have the most potent, powerful, pure, greatest chance of being heaven on earth. And without that, at least the Kingston main settlement that I'm on, if half of the people, haven't even read the books, and don't share that, for me, the basis of it all, I don't know how well it would work, at least for me.
I see
So,
I see what you're saying, Mark. I was obviously people have to have a conscious awareness. I wasn't saying you have people who just have no idea what's going on. That's not what I meant.
Yeah, I feel that, Shane. Right, you're just saying that, like, from the perspective of bringing this onto a more global scale. Right now, this is the spearhead group. But like, what happens when it does become big enough, and how do we get more people? How do we become inclusive? Because I feel like it'd be osmosis, but I really hear what you're saying, Mark. Do you have more to say?
no, I think I said it. It's my own personal feeling. And there can be many levels of shared ideals and values. Just that, for me personally, I personally would want every single family, every single couple, every single individual in my settlement, if at all possible, to have come to the books, have found them. The books have come to them. They've assimilated them. They love them. They believe in them, and they have as much of the knowledge and wisdom from them within their daily lives as possible. And that's really all I was saying.
Yeah, super valuable perspective. Yeah, and also, Catherine, I'm gonna put the ice drive link in here right now. But for now, while I do that, Natasha, welcome, Natasha, wants to say a couple of words.
Yeah, on this topic, can you hear me? Yeah? Okay. On this topic, I think it's been something that's been so wishy-washy and a bit silly in my perspective, as far as like maybe a more masculine, like set in stone energy that people are like afraid to walk on. Like, oh, just because they haven't read the books, they can still be a part of it. In my experience, I've been in and out of communities in Hawaii and talked to so many people, and there's just, without the books, if there are some people that just naturally integrate it. You know what I mean? And even people that do read the books that aren't integrating it within their life or their ideal perspectives. But with the settlements that are in Russia that I have listened to that are actually going, each of them have said one of the requirements to join the settlement is to have read the books. And in my opinion, it would be like within the recent years and actually practicing it. And that this would be the job of the Viecha, the self-governance, the people that are appointed for self-governance, to be able to interview and to, you know, really feel into, is this person in alignment with the vision of the King settlement and the purpose of it, you know, to keep that in light. And rather than, there's this aspect of us that's like so airy fairy and beautiful. However, the grounding of it is really important, and also beautiful in a much more powerful and palpable way that like it makes sense. Yeah, like let's have a set of guidelines, because for me, I have children and I don't want to waste time with having people there that are going to build their big ass mansions and, you know, live in the same way that the world did. And it could have just been an interview away of being like, you know, maybe you'll be ready down the line. Right now, it's just not feeling in alignment for us. It's not that hard to say no, but I think that we have this aspect of us in our collective consciousness that's like, let's include everyone and don't say no to anybody. And like, and I say that because I used to be that way and I can see it very clearly now. And that's my own opinion and that's my own experience of things. But as far as like, I self-appoint myself to self-governance on the kin settlements that I'm going to be on. And it's definitely, in my opinion, going to be an absolute requirement that they've read the books. Like I've been to way too many communities that are like so close, but they're not, and they haven't read the books, but they know about it. And there's like really strong differences within that. You know, there's some things that are in alignment and even a lot of things, but there's also a lot of things that are not at all in alignment. And it's just not going to be a kin settlement. It's going to be another community and da 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 da. Like, you know, to each their own. If you need to learn that lesson, go ahead. But to create this strong VHS, the strong self-governance, the strong guidelines, and to set it in stone. And, you know, it's going to look different and feel different in a lot of ways, but it's still going to feel good. And it's still going to feel in resonance, in my opinion, for the people that are like, yes, this is a yes, not a maybe. A maybe is a no. In my opinion, it's a yes. And however long that takes for somebody to get to that point with the whole VHS self-governance group to get there, I think it needs to be very, very clear, in that the rest of the community, the rest of the families can trust the VHS that we will make the decisions that are in the best interest of the whole. So that's what I wanted to say.
I'd like to offer a biolog. I'd like to, Natasha, thank you first.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for saying that. I think you're bringing up so many good points.
Absolutely.
I'd like to offer a biological perspective, though, to back my brother Shane, because I do feel like what Shane is talking about, though, is he's not suggesting anything that isn't right now. He's suggesting that in the grand whole picture. And so the biological perspective I'm going to offer everyone is how the forest works. And the forest works by having an existing network. And so if you were to take a tree and plant a tree in the forest, it gets inoculated with every living microbe that is already in existence in that forest. It receives all of the information as well, all of the information about the past climate and about the rain and about the temperature. It receives it all from its root structure. So this new tree that was an orphaned tree and transplanted into the forest immediately gets inoculated with all this information, and it's instantaneous. And then it begins to grow in harmony with that forest, with that ecosystem. So I think the perspective to keep in mind is also that, yeah, right now we can't invite a bunch of different people in because the idea is very pure. You know, we need to maintain the purity of ourselves to bring that forward. But there will come a time when I personally feel within myself we will have the strength to invite those who haven't read the books, because
Absolutely.
they will, right, they will
Yeah.
totally see, they will see, and the whole world will be watching and seeing how this is going. You know, like right now though, like I agree with you, Natasha. Like I agree, like we need to be, hey, this is how we're setting up the settlement, you know, like this is the self-governance system. This is what we are. We're not straying from this, because we really need to put that hard foot down. But I do see in the future, yes, this like complete, nothing about it is exclusive. It's completely inclusive, you know? Everybody needs to have their own piece of motherland, and they certainly will. And whether or not they've read the books or not, in 100 years it might not matter, because I mean, to be poetic and maybe a little airy fairy, the smell and the beauty of the gardens is going to change them anyway, and how the people interact with them is going to change them. I mean, think about when someone sincerely looks at you with like love, like that changes you. Imagine entire space that's actually doing that. It's going to change people. They're going to feel it. Governments will feel this. But it might take 50 years, 75 years, 100 years.
Hey, no. Take it easy. Take those numbers off and down, brother.
Cool. All right, cool. So take like maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years.
Thank
you know?
you. Thank you.
Yeah. You know, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes, and we're gonna keep our thoughts pure and keep moving forward. Yeah, but I think it's a powerful perspective what you and Mark are offering and what Shane's offering, and actually the merriment of the two ideas is so freaking beautiful. It's like what we need to do now and what's the future looking like, and it really is beautiful. Super sweet, super sweet. Any other thoughts, perspectives? There's a lot of folks who haven't spoken. I think that's beautiful. I don't want to make anybody speak, but I also want to open the floor.
Well, there's some, I'd like to, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. This is so beautiful. Just the pertinent conversation right now, it reminds me of stories I read about the Essenes, and people would be interested in what they're doing and stuff, so they would allow them to be there for that year to see if the community could work with them, or whoever is there wants to work with them and integrate into it. And that year to do that would be the time an individual is interested and drawn to your community could be reading the books, say in the library and everything, because they are so expensive for a lot of people. So I was just thinking about how the Essenes handle newcomers and educating them about what's going on. And I loved, Wyatt, your inoculation theory, because anybody who would spend a year with the ups and downs in any community is going to feel the heart in it and be drawn to it. And so there's that just time period where people can adjust themselves. I yield.
Yes.
Mhm.
Paramatma?
Oh, I was just going to say that I don't think we have to feel polarized on these ideas. I think we're all just saying kind of the same thing in a lot of ways. Yes, of course, you would want people to be focused on the books and to have read the books. I like that always makes sense to me. And I heard the people in Russia say that, you know, that some people landed there and they hadn't read the books, and they were saying, well, did you read the books? And they just kept saying to them, did you read the books? You know, but I think you know, those of us who feel called to talk to Indigenous people in our area about what we're getting out and about the ideas, I think that we can take whatever steps we feel like it. There are some books written about how they talk to the ground. They talk to the ground and ask if it wants the seed, or they, there's so many beautiful practices like that. And we have our practices, but just open up a discussion. And if they feel drawn to explore more, then they will, just like I think pretty much everybody is saying they will. And I think we would be I feel, personally speaking for myself, I would be very honored if some of these people whose ancestors are on this land and who, would be interested, and that may energetically happen and it may not. You're muted,
Yeah,
Wyatt.
yeah, yeah. So the perspective to Mark, Mark, Gabriel, and Lenny, they were speaking about Paramahansa Yogananda today as well on the Telegram chat. And the perspective there is that, Yogananda has said that many natives are incarnating into these bodies now so that they can take back their motherland. That kind of partially resonates with me. Like sometimes I'm like, okay, yeah, yeah, I can see that. To each his own, but just that perspective, that. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, people were saying that about us 40 years ago, that we had, because I belong to the farm community that started in Tennessee, and then we had it up here in Canada, and people were saying that about us, that our energy was very similar to the Indigenous people at that time. And I didn't realize that came from Paramahansa.
Yeah, it's really beautiful too. It's like there were people of the First Nations who were nomadic and who didn't have like their own domains practically. And then there were people that did. A lot of the people near where I am at in Missouri, like they had permanent residences, and like they weren't just traveling around foraging. They gardened, they had those sorts of things. So it's like they were a full civilization. Did you guys know, quick fact, my father told me this, and it's quite interesting, that the people of the First Nations had formed their own confederacy before we had got here, and it was called the Iroquois Confederacy.
Yeah.
And when our people came over as foreigners, then the founding fathers were communicating with the people of the First Nations. They gladly shared with them the outline of their constitution, and we adopted nearly all of it, except we left out one of the maxims, the most important maxim. And our constitution follows very similarly to theirs. But one of the most important maxims that they had in theirs was that nature was living and should be respected and should be tended as if for the generations to come. And we eliminated that from our constitution, but that was in theirs. So it's something to think about, is like they had this huge, they were a society, a civilization, and they had people living as diverse as we do now, people living in the country, people living in cities, and people doing all sorts of things. So surely there's some similarities to what we're doing with that. Tutu, yeah.
Aloha, everyone. I just want to speak to this very moment where you're saying we are leaving something for the future. And this is what we are doing right now. We are creating gardens that will live for generations, for 1,049 generations. Our ideas, we are sprouting like seeds in the firmament of the earth. And I do cheer us on. I believe every one of us has beauty within us. And I know that this is going to be a beautiful earth as we all join together in unity. Nature teaches us about unity. Don't we need the soil creatures and the land creatures and the sky creatures? Don't we need the elements? And of course, we are in tune with our creator who created everything and created us, and we co-create with our creator. It's so fun. We can be like children playing in the gardens, playing with each other, inspiring each other, growing food, hopefully learning to love each other. And I do believe this is our inheritance, our divine inheritance. And that's about all I have to say.
What more do you have to say?
That's beautiful.
Oh, well, I do have a couple other things to say. One is that there is no return on investment like the return on investment from planting seeds or growing plants and flowers.
And children.
And children, yes, yes. And I believe that we are all divine. Every single one of us here is a divine, incredible creation of, I call it God. I call it God. I call it the great creator, the source. And every one of us knows it in our hearts. And I really look forward to such a beautiful future together. I have this, I'll take you to the medicine wheel. Listen, let me flip the camera around and let's see, do it. Can you see the medicine wheel?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So, yes, this is an amazing space. When I first got here, I got here almost 11 years ago, and then I was compelled to make a website about what I was learning. And because I made a website, these lovely people found my website and they said, we want to stop and visit. We're doing a permaculture tour. And they stopped around different places. And I was honored that they stopped here. And they built this medicine wheel. They had a native woman and they had all these people. But I will just take you in here and let you know that for the longest time, Jesus, Mary, Anna, Mary Magdalene, they are here. Yogananda's here. Kuan Yin, the Sophia Dragon Tribe, if you've heard of them. Oh my God, this white buffalo woman is from North America, and she has helped us get rain so many times. And there's the angels, archangels, there's love and there's peace and there's truth and there's honesty and there's clarity. And we're all here in this beautiful medicine wheel. And they have guided us to this spot. So I know we are blessed, without a doubt. Without a doubt. And just saying, I'm just a humble person, but I do believe that I am here with the greats of all time. And that's about it.
Gigi, thank you so much for sharing all of your feelings and expressions and your space of love. That really means a lot. Thank you.
You're so welcome. I'm so honored to share it with someone because I really have been keeping it a secret for so long. And I feel like this is a safe place to share it.
Thank you. I feel like I got to
And
walk on the earth with you.
Just be honored.
Cutting.
Totally. Thank you. And your smile.
Yeah.
It feels like a secret place.
Yes, it is a secret place because I've been scared to share it. Really. I mean, I have done it, but I'm not a big popular person. I've shared it, but only those who are willing to see it will see it.
Well, thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Am I taking it out? No. Yeah, it's probably done. Want to take it out?
This has been a really beautiful conversation. We got about 20 minutes left. I think it's a good time to open it up if anybody has any thoughts that they want to share. Yeah, Brian. What's up, my friend? How's it going, man?
Going well. How are you?
Good. How's the island treating you?
Oh, island life is good. Yeah, I just wanted to just build a little bit on that and just, it's coming up on, well, it's 2.5 years about here now on my space of love here. And yeah, it's pretty fantastic. Just living this life. Obviously, I mean, some of you I've known from past calls and stuff who may know, but after years of trying to build community and find a Kins domain community and going through all of this, all of the challenges that go along with that, just had the opportunity. My beloved and I just went on our own, got our property, got our home, got our space of love, and just started doing it. And it's fantastic. So yeah, I just wanted to just pop in and wish you all so well on your personal journeys, whether it's looking for an individual space or looking for a community and finding everything that you all need to live your happiest selves. And yeah, there's just so many things of just like, and I love what Tutu just shared about, her space being so sacred to her and having all of that deep connection and deep meaning on what's going on there. And that's a relationship that, you grow on your space, and it's everywhere. Everywhere is a sacred space, a sacred place, and that's the kind of thing we're building here, which is wonderful. And yeah, it's of course it's not, I mean, you've heard, I wasn't able to be on that call last weekend or the weekend before, whenever that was, I forgot, but I heard what that one lady was saying, and we've heard bits of it here and there. Is it's real. It's like, it doesn't become like this magical cure-all for everything. Like, you gotta like deal and heal is a good way to put it, with your stuff, or that will come with you. And every landscape has its unique set of challenges, and that's part of the beauty of it, and part of the reality of it. But it's so inspiring, and it just wakes you up every day with a new set of just like, yeah, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to commune and be, and just really enjoying it. So yeah, I appreciate being in this space with all of you wonderful people, and sharing these stories of either being there or getting there. So yeah, best to you all.
Brian, it's so good to hear your voice and to have your wisdom on the call. It's always a pleasure. I wanted to share with everybody what Brian alluded to. Hopefully it won't start playing something. So this is the woman that Brian was speaking about. 1 second. Okay. So she has her own, she's living in a kin's domain in one of the most northern kin's domains in Siberia. And she has a little YouTube channel here. And she basically did a video recapping some of the stuff that she talked about during the webinar. So definitely check that out. Oh, let me throw Anton and Vika in here as well. So Anton and Vika are definitely like probably the ones that really hit me while we're on this. Here we go. So they have they might do YouTube, but mainly they do Instagram. But very beautiful to see these people. Gosh, I've communicated with them a little bit and asked them a couple of questions before, and they're really beautiful people. So, but yeah, Brian, thank you for being here, my friend. It's really good to see you. How are things growing? What's coming out of the garden? Sweet potatoes?
Yeah, well, we just had a nice harvest of sweet potatoes that we went through and cooked up and ate off of last week. So yeah, that was really nice. It should mean our taro patch will be done next. That should be done pretty soon. So I'm looking forward to that. And then that means after that, we should have another batch of cassava ready to harvest. So, and then ate some more of that because, you know, it grows pretty abundantly. So we always have it, and then, you know, we freeze it. So it's, you know, available. But yeah, that's on a pretty solid 4 to 6 month rotation. You know, we've got the garden greens going. That's pretty much daily. Get to eat from that. So we're just, you know, waiting for our baby fruit trees to grow and start getting fruity around here a little more, other than our bananas and papayas, and we're almost at the end of pineapple season. We had loads and loads of pineapples this year. I think, like, I don't know, I would have to, we'll do a count. We're going to do a count here pretty soon because we want to get our year-to-year consistent and know when and where to plant more. But we probably had about 80 to 100 or something like that we've just been have. And then one beautiful thing about you know, being on a space of love and planting your plants is like they kind of get to know you. So it's like we planted all of these pineapples, I mean, not exactly at the same time, but like a patch here, a patch there. But the pineapple season is pretty solid, but they don't all come ripe all at once. It, like, you know, it's been this beautiful cycle of like where we have like a pineapple a day, maybe 2.
Wow.
And it's just been like this cycle, and it's been so amazing.
Oh my gosh, Brian, that sounds amazing. You planted 80 pine. I mean, do you have more than 2.5 acres?
Well, 3 acres.
Oh,
Uh,
perfect. And you're able to fit 80 pineapple plants? That's awesome. I mean, I know they're like
yeah,
just
well,
like
well, they take 2 years to harvest, so we probably have like 150 or 160 or so pineapple plants, but we have them staggered, so every year we're getting pineapples.
Is it one pineapple per plant?
Yeah, and then, well, yeah, and then basically when the pineapple grows, you take off the top, put that in the ground, but then they also shoot out new pineapples, and then you can plant them in the ground and really expand your pineapple patch. So you can, if we wanted to, we could have, in 2 years, like double or more the amount of pineapple, but it takes a lot of work. We don't have soil necessarily, so everything has to be built up. So you have to build the beds for it, and then all of the care for weeding and keeping things. We like to keep things nice. It's not quite so permaculture here. It's really, really nice and well kept.
that's pretty cool though. So okay, so it's a beautiful, you're out there weeding every day and mulching and
Yeah, but we're also working on ground cover, which is we found this perennial peanut.
Do you have trauma care?
And you grow it on the ground, and then you don't have to. It suppresses the weeds, it builds the soil, it adds lots of nitrogen and nutrients to the soil.
yeah.
And you don't have to weed whack or mow it, because it
Yeah.
stays low to the ground. And so that's like a big thing here, because everything just grows, and it doesn't, stuff doesn't stop growing. So you can spend all your time weed whacking, mowing, pulling weeds, or you can put in the effort to try to I don't want to be doing that for the rest of my life, and my beloved wife does not want to do that for the rest of her life. So we want our glorious years as elders to be not having to work so hard.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, here in the temperate, it's New Zealand white clover is one of those that we use. So it's like only 6 inches, nitrogen fixer, perennial, you know. That's pretty cool. Yeah, Luma has a good point. Do you have any photos to share? Like, is there a place where we can go and check out this beauty, or is this like, are you building a retreat center and eventually that's like where we'll all come, or?
Well, I don't know. That's a good question. I guess we're not, we don't have like an Instagram where we're documenting. We talk about it sometimes because of what it was, this thick, massive tangle of a jungle, to be this this glorious landscape. It's still a work in progress. There's still a lot of thick, massive jungle out there to do, and it's slow going to clear an area, then plant an area and maintain it. So yeah, we don't have, we haven't been really public about it. I think we're just so busy doing it and living it that it's, I don't know. I guess, I mean, is it is it a selfish thing to keep it all to ourselves?
No, please do.
No,
Please do if that's what you feel called to.
certainly not. But I have thought about that, down the line as a place to as we build it, and as a place to share and have people be able to come and see it. I don't know about a retreat center type thing. That would but a tour, that sounds fun. That sounds like something that might be, but yeah, obviously if you ever come to Hawaii, Wyatt, and I can say that for a lot of the rest of you, like, drop a line. You obviously can stop by and have a visit and a good time.
Wait, yeah, Luma, good question again. Where in Hawaii are you? Or is that private knowledge? So we'll text you and you'll be like, well, I'm not on this island. Maybe try this one.
It's a game. Yeah, we're pretty private folks, but we are on Hawaii Island, the big island of Hawaii. So it's
Well, I'll be coming. I'm not sure. Megan Peterson, I definitely have to go down and see her. She's invited me a number of times, and she's on, I think you guys are on like opposite sides of the island.
Yeah, I know where she is. She I mean, not exactly, but we'll yeah, she's on the same island.
Yeah,
It's
so she
share
told me
this
she
space with
she
her.
told me to come and visit. So I don't know when that's gonna be because I don't know when that's gonna be. But yeah, I will definitely, we'll have to connect when I'm there and swim in the ocean or something.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you come and we'll have a nice time. Yeah, it's really interesting. The whole, so I work regular jobs and stuff, and that's kind of how this gets funded. I mean, I get to work from home and it's pretty flexible. So it's not ideal. But we're doing this as sort of a, just living ourselves and our lives here. And because it's hard to make money out there as a farmer. I hear it from folks, and I saw a really cool, a nice post there by Kevin, talking about retreat centers, and it's like, wow, that, yeah, blessings to you, Kevin, on that dream, because that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work when you have to sort of monetize your space and trying to find the balance in all of that. So we kind of yeah, I mean, we decided for us that we're just not going to do that. We're just going to try to live as independently and as we can, and hopefully make enough money to pay everything off pretty early. Then I can have an early retirement and enjoy the rest of my days without having to worry about how am I going to pay the bills, how am I going to pay these taxes and everything going on. So it's yeah, it is good living out here, Wyatt.
Sweet, brother. Well, I'm gonna definitely check it out. My dear friends, we're at the 2-hour mark, so I want to close with a couple of last pieces of information. So I haven't posted it yet. I need to. I'm gonna post it tonight. I did a recap YouTube video on the webinar event that we had. They're working on a way that those recordings can be purchased after the fact, but this was a private event, so it was for the members only that people came. So if anything, I highly recommend checking that out. The second thing is to check out, oh well, somebody's coming in real fast. The second thing is to check out this event that we have going on, which is this. Everybody can see this flyer, hopefully. So I mentioned this in the beginning, just mentioning it again for anybody who came later. This is specifically focusing on sovereignty in Canada. However, this is going to offer a lot of great insights. This is hosted by Ariane Teleshusky, my dear sister, and it's going to be an amazing call. This guy is really doing a lot of really cool stuff. He's wrote the book Graduating Life with Honors, and a number of others. So definitely check that out. That's happening this Thursday. I've put the link in the chat. So definitely, if you can attend, be there. And I think there will be a recording, and we will send an email out about that event as well. Lastly, I really just want to say thank you guys all for being here. This has been super huge. I'm leaving humbled and really excited about all the ideas that we had. And it was really beautiful to see this many people come and show up and put their thoughts together over a common goal. That's the most important thing, this collective thought. So thank you guys really so much from the bottom of my heart. This lifts me up. I'm like buzzing, and I've worked all day and exercised, and my body's tired, but my mind and my spirit is full of life. So I really appreciate you guys creating with me. And I'll open the floor up for anybody to say anything as well. Any
Wyatt?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your gentle way of guiding this time together.
Oh,
it's
well,
just such a joy.
I appreciate that, Hulda. Thank you. Thank you.
I second that.
Thank you guys. Well, so we used to hold these calls a lot more, and so my call was able to be very much focused on what my sole interest is. Well, not my sole interest, but what my interest is. Well, that was like a weird double phrase, soul, SOLE, or soul, SOUL. What my interest is really, regenerative agriculture and designing spaces. That's where my education and training and my work field is in. But we don't have these community meetings anymore, and we really need to have just time to connect and share thoughts and ideas and have it be open-ended. So I'm open for any meeting feedback as well. Like if anybody wants to suggest anything for next time, for how maybe we do things, how the flow is, how I'm facilitating this, please. I'm not going to have any pride or ego there. Just, I would appreciate the feedback.
When is next time?
Next time will be next Tuesday. Not next Tuesday. Geez. It'll be September 13th. That will be
every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks we hold this call. Yeah. I'd like to hold it every week, but honestly, it's I'm finding a hard time sometimes making time for myself. So I've got to honor my energy a little bit. But yeah, every 2 weeks. And I think Gabriel might be. Go ahead. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Will the link for today's call be valid in 2 weeks?
Yes, it's a recurring link.
Okay.
Yep, it's a recurring link.
Just in case I don't get the email.
Yeah, it's a recurring link. You can mark your calendar every other week, 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Right.
So you can mark your time. That'll be it. This will be the link. We do have a lot more attendance when we do get an email out. Yeah, sounds good, Kevin. Start that group, Aspiring Homesteaders. Working together and creating a pool. Yeah, go for it. I think that's a really phenomenal idea. We'll support it here in the RC community. Yeah. Paramatma, you have something to say?
Yeah, I was just wondering, where is that link of the Canada one? Is it right there? Is it the USO2 web Zoom, that one?
833-483-11.
Yeah.
Yep, that's it.
Okay, okay, I'm trying to copy that, but you're gonna copy it into an email or someplace? Because I
Yes,
don't think
I'm
I
gonna.
can copy
I, I'm.
off of the chat. It won't work,
I'm
on my
gonna.
computer.
Yes, I'm gonna speak with Gabriel right after this, and I'm gonna have him send that out in an email because I think it's really valuable. And then I'm also gonna have a conversation with him about Indigenous, reaching out to Indigenous organizations, people of the First Nations. So, yep, yeah. These meetings are always re-energizing. I know, Kevin. I know. I agree. I'm feeling it. All right, guys. I appreciate your time and energy. Thank you so much. If I could read all your names individually, I would, but thank you so much, Tina. It was really nice having your energy here. Nice having everybody's here. Join Telegram, join Facebook, join all those things. That's where you'll find out about what's happening. Keep your thoughts bright. You got an eternity. We all have eternity. It's a blessing. It's a joy. Yeah. Cool. All right, guys. Bye. Bye for now.
Right.